Hey there everyone, welcome back. Quite a few years ago I made this kayak cart. It was the first of its kind. A couple of years after that I made the kayak cart video that's been shared quite a bit, and what I noticed was in the comments a lot of people were asking for the dimensions. So this video is going to walk you through all the dimensions, the various lengths of wood and PVC and everything else that you need to make the cart. Okay, now the dimensions of the cart that you're going to build are going to be fairly similar to this one. There will be some slight variations depending on a couple of factors that I'll get into during the course of this video. However, what I want to do is start from the ground up and show you the dimensions of everything that I'm using and explain to you why I'm recommending what I used. Okay, the first thing is the wheels or the casters. These are 5 inches in diameter. Okay, and the reason why I chose 5 inches is because I have a little bump down at the end of the garage when I push this out into the driveway, and the larger the wheels, the easier it is for it to roll over those bumps. And even if you have an uneven driveway, if this goes outside, it's going to absorb those easier. It's going to roll much faster, much easier. And then I also have these things lock in the event that it's not a level surface. I can tell you that this garage isn't perfectly level, and on occasion after I bring the kayak in, the cart wants to roll slightly back towards the garage door again. So every once in a while I'll lock this, or if I do have it out in the garage door, my driveway slopes downward, I definitely lock it at that point too, so the thing doesn't get away from me. Okay, so now these casters are mounted on the posts using lag bolts. Again, lag bolts. I mentioned in the original video, don't go cheap. With what I'm going to share with you here, you could probably save about 30 bucks or 40 maybe if you go really cheap. But if you want the thing to last as long as this has lasted for me, then don't go cheap on it. So here's what I mean. So you can put 2x4s here, just 4x4 posts, but I use stock that's 5.5 by 3.5, because when you take the casters, if I were able to take these things off right now, flip it over, you need to have enough meat in here to lag these into. If you use a thinner post, you'd be pretty much at the ends, maybe making it split. I didn't want that. I wanted this thing to be beefy. That way, as you're rolling over things that are inconsistent, like the little step down at the end of the garage, the thing isn't going to be shaking and wobbling on me. This is absolutely solid. In fact, if anything, the kayak moves slightly on top, and this thing never moves. So again, lag bolts. Okay. Now I'm going to get to the height of this in a second. But now you have the stock dimensions. Okay. So the overall length of the whole cart itself is 63 inches. Okay, you can go 64, whichever you prefer. That is not as critical. 63 inches from the one end of the cart to the other. When we talk about the PVC though, let's get this one on here. 6 feet 1 inch. You can go 6 feet if you like. It's fine. And again, if you have a short kayak, you might go shorter than that. I have a 14-foot Pro Angler, and as a result, my kayak's going to be longer. If you have a 10-foot kayak, you might not need it that long. The PVC itself, okay, got 3.5 inches on the PVC, and it's important to use the wider PVC versus the skinnier stuff, because I feel like it spreads out the weight distribution across the pipe itself a little bit better. I've had my kayak on this thing for years now, and if you flip my kayak over, you're not going to have any flat spotting or anything like that. And again, because I feel like I got more surface area of pipe versus a skinnier, more rounded pipe, where you're going to have a lot more pressure on a specific spot within your kayak. Okay, so now some people ask, well, how far apart do you put the pipes? Well, if you flip your kayak over, you might see that you've got 2 grooves beneath your kayak. Go to the center, take the widest part, and mark the distance between the center of each groove underneath your kayak, and for me it was 11.5 inches. Okay, so 11.5 inches was the distance between the two the center grooves underneath the kayak, and that's how I got my my locations for this. Okay, again, back down here, so we've got the width, the total width, 3 feet. 3 feet all the way across on the total width. Okay, and again, wherever it's most critical, I'm lag bolting, not screwing. These screws are just for the cross braces, and these are also much longer screws. They're about 3.5 inches. These I'm lag bolting everywhere where you're going to need the additional support. Okay, so now we talked about the dimensions so far of the overall length of the kayak, the length of the PVC. We've got the width, which is 3 feet, and now let's talk a little bit more about what's going on here. Okay, so the reason why you see the 2x4s and then the PVC is this. When I first made the kayak, I didn't have PVC. I wrapped these and I made these like carpeted bunks, almost like a Boston Whaler trailer or something. So these were wrapped and I had it stapled in, but I didn't like the fact that I had this these 2x4s, very sturdy, kind of felt like it was digging into the kayak just slightly. So soon after, I took the carpet off, and then I went with the PVC. I'll get to that in a second. But the other thing is that I made sure I wanted these sturdy. As you're putting the kayak on and off your cart, I said I want to use these angle irons here, screw them in, and not try to go cheap and just try to screw a long screw on an angle. These things had to be sturdy, and they are. This thing is not moving. Okay, so we talked about lag bolts again, right? So in here, let me see if you can see that. You might not. There you go. Okay, I've got lag bolts in here too, all the way down. All right. So I drilled a pilot hole here and down there underneath the other side of the PVC, and got an extension on my ratchet all the way down, and lag bolted it in. I tried it first with screws and saw it was a little bit too wobbly, and I wasn't going to have that. So again, I've got 4 evenly spaced lag bolts all the way down to hold this up here. You don't have to put it on top of a 2x4. I did that because I initially had the 2x4 mounted. However, in retrospect, when I looked at it, I like the fact that the kayak sits a bit higher up off the cart. Okay, so if the PVC pipe was just sitting right here, the kayak would be right here. I kind of like it being up. Okay, so now let's talk about the overall height of the kayak. We didn't talk about the height of this. Well, the total height here, where this came into play, was the height of my pickup bed. So what I wanted is for the kayak to slide right onto my pickup bed and right off of it, really without any drop at all. Okay, so what I did was I measured the height of my pickup bed and then subtracted all the different lengths or height of everything else: the PVC, the 2x4, the casters, and then whatever was left was going to be the total length of the post that I was going to cut. Again, the total height. This was really, after doing the math, this was the last thing that I decided I was going to cut, and it was going to make sure that the top of this was even with the top of my pickup bed, which is why that's going to differ for each person here. Unless you're not going to put it on a pickup, then you can do whatever you want with it. So now let's get the platform underneath. I wanted a shelf for some storage and whatever the inside dimensions are. So this one happened to be 29 inches, 28 3/4 actually. Whatever the gap is between the two posts, that's what you're going to cut, and it just lays in there. And if you want to, you can put a cross brace here, 2x4 from one end to the other, to hold the center stable. Again, because I have the same 2x4 here that we have at the top. Okay, so hopefully that explains it. I think I've picked up the dimensions of everything in here. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will respond. And if it's anything that I left out, I'll add it into the description of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit the subscribe and like button, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.